Well, every week in the mainstream media, we're hearing stories about how guns are dangerous, we need to get rid of the guns, while stories of women, especially, being able to actually protect themselves and protect their families when they're at home alone are often overlooked. A few days ago, a woman in Michigan woke up in the middle of the night to find a masked man who had a gun and a machete standing outside of her window. And she went upstairs and got her gun, and while her children were asleep, her husband was away on service in Afghanistan. So she's home alone, and here's this masked man, and he's circling around her home, tapping his machete on the window. And because she had a gun, she was kind of able to play this game with him where he would step back a little bit, and he didn't bother her until the police were able to get there. This is a perfect example of a woman who was home alone, her husband's away on service, or her husband's not there, her kids are asleep, and she needed to be able to protect herself. This is in stark contrast to that New Jersey mom that we heard of last year, who an intruder did come in her home and he viciously attacked her in front of her 3-year-old child. And that was all caught on a nanny cam. That woman was left completely defenseless. She was a completely defenseless victim. So I'm going to speak briefly with Bunny Hunter today. She is a women's empowerment activist, we'll say. Her YouTube channel shows a lot of videos of her shooting guns and being an all-around tough gal. She is going to talk with me a little bit about how important it is to have a gun in the home, especially for us ladies. Okay, so Bunny, thank you for joining us.
Now, thanks for having me.
It seems like the ultimate empowered woman, the ultimate sign of feminism is to be able to defend yourself, protect your family, and protect yourself. So why do you think that feminists are so against being armed?
Well, I think with anybody, not just feminists, it has a lot to do with brainwashing, because there's no other rational explanation for it. The criminals have guns, the bad guys have guns, therefore we need to have guns in order to protect ourselves against them. In a perfect world, nobody would have guns, you know, whatever. That's a totally different scenario that's not happening, so we need not discuss it.
Right, and I've actually watched, you know, a lot of the videos on your channel, and you definitely seem like you could kick a lot of butt. Absolutely. So I'm new to guns, and I'm kind of on the search for something. So what would you recommend for a lady like myself? I mean, there's pictures of me with the 50 cal, and that's obviously nothing that I'm going to be shooting at home, but
right.
What would you recommend?
Well, definitely a revolver. That seems to be the #1 recommendation for women first-time shooters.
And you would recommend that over something like a semi-automatic or?
Yeah, definitely, because it's a perfect starter gun. With a revolver, there's basically nothing that can go wrong. They're known for not having a lot of flaws, so it's just a lot easier. There's not a lot of recoil. I believe the one that's in the top running for women is the Smith & Wesson, the lady shooter, and they make them in pink, so you know it can help with girls if they're a little afraid of guns at first. You get something in pink, you're like, okay, I can do this.
Right. It seems much less scary, and I hate to be like that, but I am.
It's okay.
Jakari always makes fun of me because my first instinct when I'm grabbing a gun is to put my finger on the trigger, and that's just obviously a lack of training.
Right.
So is there something?
Will you tell him to stop making fun of you?
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's what happens when you work with nothing but men. So
oh, I feel you on that one.
So is there a specific crash course or some sort of training that you would recommend? You know, what do you have in your survival handbag?
Well, my daily handbag, I always have, if my weapon's not on my person, it'll be in my purse. I'll have extra rounds, extra magazines, a knife, flashlight, and a bottle of water.
You are tough. See, that's what I like, you know, to be able to still be a babe, but to defend yourself. I know Marco said if he was stuck in a dark alley, he would like to be protected by Bunny Hunter.
Very good. Yeah, a lot of guys will say to me, you know, oh, you're scary, you're intimidating, but it shouldn't be that way. It's only for bad people. Only bad people need to be scared of someone who's well equipped and armed.
Right. The proper training is what what you would need to feel the most secure.
Anything that is promoted by the NRA, any type of training, they're the top when it comes to gun training. So pretty much anything, if you look, they'll be NRA certified, any type of certification that has to do with the NRA.
Okay.
But, and if you can't take it that far, your local gun range, they provide lessons as well. You just want to make sure it's not somebody that's new to firearms and it's going to teach you improperly.
So what do you think about this Stanford University law professor who has gone on to say that the Second Amendment, he said, permits strong gun control? He told a crowd that restriction has to be at the core of the right to carry a gun. What do you think about how people are trying to twist the Second Amendment?
Yeah, that's just insane. It was written a certain way, and there was no gray areas, and that's what our country was built off of, and consequently, that's what makes this country so great that everybody wants to come over here. So I think that the amendments need to be followed to a T, and there's no gray areas to do with that. Now, I did notice he said something about that we need not fear the military, they wouldn't turn on civilians, something to that effect. And he's making the mistake of grouping the military with the current administration. And I'm guessing he knows nobody in military because they do not support the things that the current administration does. Those aren't the same views. So we're not worried about the military turning on us.
Exactly. I mean, we have all of these non-law enforcement agencies buying up all of the ammunition. I mean, now the latest is the post office.
Right.
So what do you think they need them for?
Well, I think that it's a typical bureaucratic BS, and it's like Obama. I saw a picture where he had a picture of all his Secret Service, all armed to the T's, and him saying with a little post up top, guns are not safe, guns are no good, yet he's fully protected with guns. It's the same thing. They want us to not be, but they want to be. So there has to be something to that. It's not right.
All right, Bunny, so what can we look forward to next on the YouTube channel?
I'm putting a video out tomorrow, actually. So Friday, there'll be a new one. And after that, I have some footage. I was recently in Turks and Caicos, and I have some footage of ATV rides, Bunny Hunter flipping out on the island. So
nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Well, thank you so much for being like the absolute version of empowerment for women. I'm really glad to see you putting these videos out. They're getting a lot of hits. People are seeing that this is what true empowerment is all about. So
that's right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. See, nothing says femininity like field stripping an MP5 with a fresh coat of nail polish. Now, if you want to let the world know that they can come and take it, visit the InfoWars store and pick up this Come and Take It t-shirt. It comes in pink.
We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
It's not about keeping guns out of the hands of law-abiding Americans, and I'm sick and tired of people lying to the American people.
We can't have a totally armed society.
We're not proposing a gun registration system. We're proposing background checks for criminals.
In the spirit of gun control, will you disarm your entire security team?
We'll get right back to you.
You'll get back to me?
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? And that's why you're going to fail, and the establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.